Right now at 10, the sun is setting on this winter storm.
We'll show you which city was the big winner with 20 inches of fresh powder.
And despite some chaotic crashes, most Minnesotans played it safe.
People did stay home, which was great.
Now from St. Paul across the river to Minneapolis, the Big Dig is stretching into the night.
But some found time to take a break and embrace the elements.
I like it a lot because you can do a lot of things in it.
And one new family embracing something even more precious.
For me, I said, what better thing to do in a storm than have a baby?
But we know what matters most is what comes next.
Exit snow, enter cold. I'll let you know if this cold snap lasts through the weekend.
From hunkering down to digging out.
Good boy. Thank you for helping.
To living it up.
I love winter. I'm a Minnesota weirdo.
We have Next Weather team coverage.
Tonight.
We've waited for this for decades.
I think it's just a very, very big mistake.
The Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade. Legal protection for abortion now left to the states.
It's a sad day for the court and for the country. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk.
Tonight, promises to women.
You are welcome here. You have choices here. And you have allies here.
As other states shut operations down.
This is not only a victory for unborn children. This is a victory for everybody who believes in our system of government.
How this historic ruling impacts Minnesota and beyond as rights to reproductive care.
It makes me sad and scared.
We are celebrating. I'm not surprised. We knew it was coming.
Changed dramatically.
It's a life, and life is a gift.
Thanks for watching WCCO and CBS News Minnesota. Tonight, history is unfolding across the United States.
The highest court in the land reversed course on 50 years of federal constitutional rights to an abortion, sending the issue to the states. Here's a look outside of the Supreme Court tonight, where the justices overturned Roe v. Wade in a 5-4 vote. Tonight, we'll show you how that decision impacts Minnesota, Wisconsin, and how people are reacting. But we begin our team coverage with the latest in Washington. Abortion rights advocates and opponents gathered outside the Supreme Court after Friday's decision to overturn the landmark case that guaranteed women's right to an abortion, a right that had existed for nearly half a century.
All they really care about is controlling and suppressing women.
For the older generation of pro-lifers to see this today, I'm so grateful for them and their perseverance.
The justices upheld a Mississippi law banning the procedure after 15 weeks of pregnancy. They went further, voting 5-4 to strike the precedent set by Roe v. Wade in 1973.
It's a slap in the face to women about using their own judgment to make their own decisions about their reproductive freedom.
Associate Justice Samuel Alito authored the opinion, writing, Roe was egregiously wrong from the start. Its reasoning was exceptionally weak, and the decision has had damaging consequences. The ruling means abortion laws will now be decided by the states. More than half are expected to enact bans or significant restrictions. Congressional Republicans hailed the decision.
The court affirmed that the power to protect unborn life is returned to the people and their elected representatives.
The ruling was not unexpected. A draft version of it had been leaked to the media earlier this year.
It's a sad day for the court and for the country.
President Joe Biden was among those voicing dismay at the decision.
Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people.
The president said only Congress can restore that right, adding, quote, this fall, Roe is on the ballot.
Hundreds rallied across the Twin Cities today, some in celebration over the court's ruling, others furious at the future of abortion rights. Our Adam Duxter is outside the federal courthouse in downtown Minneapolis tonight. That's where a couple of the protests were held today. And Adam, a lot of emotion surrounding this.
Well, regardless of how you look at it, today's Supreme Court ruling is historic, and it has those both in favor of abortion rights and against them wondering the same exact thing, which is, where do we go from here?
Ain't no power like the power of the people.
Two very different rallies hit Twin Cities streets.
Glory, glory, hallelujah.
In reaction to the same ruling, anti-abortion rights groups in St. Paul celebrated.
The first thing was to just take the moment to revel in the fact that Roe v. Wade's gone.
While hundreds of those in favor of abortion rights marched in protest.
It's a refutation of everything that women have been working for, and that's like autonomy over our bodies.
Both are now turning their sights to Doe versus Gomez, the 1995 ruling that currently protects abortion rights in Minnesota. The group in St. Paul says doing away with that is their next goal.
There's people that have been working towards this for 50 years, and it's not just the work that we put into it, it's what we're fighting for, right? We're fighting for the rights of preborn children.
While those in Minneapolis hold dear to those rights that each of the states that border Minnesota now don't have.
Abortion is a medical procedure, and it's really not the court's business what people do with their own bodies, and that's why I'm here with all these other people to spread that message.
The scene in St. Paul grew contentious at times Friday evening as the two groups clashed. As those both for and against abortion rights say what happens next is pivotal to their cause.
The unborn child, from the moment of fertilization, scientifically is a human being. There's no doubt about that.
It's been really emotional today. It's devastating. Like, we're going backwards, and that should not be where we're going.
Tonight, we also spoke with Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, who says he promises to protect abortion rights here in Minnesota, as well as protect the rights for others to come to this state to access abortion services.
All right, Adam, thank you.
So what does this ruling mean in Minnesota? Simply put, not much. Nothing changes here. Abortions are still legal in Minnesota, but that makes the state an island in the upper Midwest. Performing an abortion is now illegal, effective immediately in the Dakotas and Wisconsin. Nebraska and Iowa are likely to follow suit. That has Planned Parenthood in full recruiting mode, trying to staff its 4 clinics that offer abortions in Minnesota.
We would take any support staff, any RNs, any physicians willing to come to one of our states to help provide care.
The Planned Parenthood locations that offer abortions are all in the Twin Cities. Minnesota's governor says he would veto any abortion ban that was sent to his desk. In a statement, DFL Governor Tim Walz said reproductive rights are on the ballot in November and the stakes could not be higher. The governor's office is now the last line of defense against an abortion ban. Republican gubernatorial candidate Scott Jensen said he still wants to seek out loving and caring alternatives like universal adoption and other measures that value people both born and unborn.
Well, you don't have to look far to see the immediate impact of this decision. Doctors in Wisconsin stopped providing abortions today. As our Ren Clayton reports, that's because a ban from the 1800s is back in effect.
A slow day at this Planned Parenthood in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. A week ago, in preparation for the Supreme Court ruling to overturn Roe v. Wade, Wisconsin Planned Parenthood stopped scheduling abortion services. That took effect today.
I'm not super happy about it. I'm kind of scared, I guess. I feel like it's a lot of my rights being taken away.
Unlike Minnesota, abortions in Wisconsin have stopped effective immediately. The state now defaults back to the 1849 law banning abortions unless the mother's at risk.
When you go back to an 1849 ruling on an issue that is very much contemporary, that's no good can come from that.
In a statement, Planned Parenthood Wisconsin said they are exploring all legal options. Legal experts we spoke with said any lawsuit would be against the old law, likely if it's too vague. Some Wisconsinites today disagree with the ruling.
If I need to get an abortion at some point for some reason, knowing that I can't do it in the state that I live in, I have to travel somewhere.
Wisconsin's Democratic Governor Tony Evers attempted to repeal the 173-year-old law. That effort failed in the state's legislature. For now, those seeking abortions will look to neighboring states.
Minnesota is more open to this, and so I would expect probably there'd be a little bit of movement over that way.
In Eau Claire, Ren Clayton, WCCO 4 News.
Beyond coming to Minnesota, women in Wisconsin could also seek abortions in Illinois. The district attorney who oversees the Madison area today said that he will not enforce the state's ban. Stay with WCCO for continuing coverage of the Supreme Court's decision.
Tonight, storms are moving across parts of Minnesota, making this a next weather alert day. Lisa Meadows is here with what's happening now and what might happen overnight. Hi, Lisa.
Hey guys, yes, things are very active here on the radar, even right now, looking across the northwestern part of the state of Minnesota, which is where we've been talking about having this next weather alert. Most important in this area, that's where you're seeing the storms first. We do have 2 tornado warnings on the board and a plethora of severe thunderstorm warnings along this bow echo that you see on this radar signature. 2 tornado warnings going until 10:15, also for 10:45 for Becker, Hubbard, Ottertail, and Wadena. We're going to watch this tornado warning, which is predominantly moving to the east. Further up to the north, Beltrami, Lake of the Woods, and Marshall counties, seeing this tornado warning predominantly moving off to the east. But this entire bow of storms is pushing from the northwest to the southeast. And when it comes to the severe thunderstorm warnings that are in place, these are predominantly for strong, damaging winds. We have the potential of 75-mile-per-hour winds or even higher as this continues to progress off to the east. We do have the severe thunderstorm watch in place. It did expand to include more counties, all the counties here in the pink underneath the severe thunderstorm watch until 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. Notice right now it does not include the metro area. That's because these storms are forecast to lose their intensity as they continue to move off to the southeast. So hopefully they won't be as strong as they make their way into the metro. Also want to mention the flash flood watch in place until 8 a.m. tomorrow for this area, including the St. Cloud region, and that was because of all the rain we got last night. Adding any more rain could be more issues coming up here tonight. I'll walk you through that future radar coming up in just a bit.
Thanks.
Thank you. And another reason to watch the forecast, Twin Cities Pride weekend is here. We saw crews putting the finishing touches on tents and exhibits for tomorrow's festival. Thousands are expected to visit Loring Park to shop, eat, and enjoy live music over the next 2 days. This year's march is also back on Hennepin Avenue. It will run from 7th Street to Spruce Place and into the park. If you're coming downtown, though, keep an eye out for the yellow and red streets on this map that are under construction. A love of the game spanning oceans.
Meet the soccer coach making a difference in the lives of Twin Cities kids. Why he says this experience is so rewarding for him.
Plus, a Minnesota town devastated by flooding, facing more rain tonight. How homeowners are trying to stay afloat.
Right now at 10, fires fueled by our record-breaking weather.
It's really concerning.
What you need to know to protect your property.
Next weather factors include rain, and I'll tell you when highs are 30 degrees cooler than today.
A barrage of bullets fired just feet from an officer. The dramatic video you'll only see on WCCO. Plus,
we've asked our police officers to do overtime.
More police pulling all-nighters to protect students. The new safety plan at the U.
Now, from Minnesota's most watched station, this is WCCO 4 News.
Flames tore through parts of Minnesota tonight as our unusual weather turns the state into a tinderbox. Right now, most of Minnesota is in a very high fire risk. Those are the areas that are shaded orange on this map.
And for good reason. The DNR says that there were more than 25 fires across the state just today. Chris Schaefer is tracking how long this dangerous fire weather might last. But tonight's team coverage begins with Alan Henry. He spent the evening following the flames, and he joins us now. Hi there, Alan.
Hi, Amelia. Yeah, the DNR basically tells me there are 2 threats: people losing control of a controlled fire and fires that pop up unexpectedly. You take that, combine that with the dry, warm temperatures we've been having and those windy conditions, which you can see behind me here, waving those flags in the background here. Well, that has the DNR encouraging everyone to be extra careful right now.
We've had a number of fires throughout the state, a number of aircraft suppressing those fires, and our firefighters are really busy.
More than 24 fires confirmed across the state of Minnesota just today, including this one near a lake in Circle Pines and another burning in a wildlife management area in Columbus. The DNR says the majority of these fires are caused by humans.
We do see a lot of starts, especially in the fall, from equipment use, so ATVs, exhaust pipes, farming equipment, things like that.
The Bloomington Fire Department shared these pictures of a backyard fire they say quickly spread to other yards. And on Sunday in Barnesville, just southeast of Fargo, a man was killed and several cars destroyed by an out-of-control grass fire.
So the restriction status that we're in right now is no open burning for most of the state, but campfires are allowed.
But even then, DNR says campfires can be one of the most dangerous threats.
Especially in the fall, it's really problematic that fires can hold that heat in the ground quite a long time. So you might think your campfire's out, 2 or 3 days go by, the wind picks up and it can get out of control. Depending how deep into the soil it's burning, if it's getting down to that organic layer, that peat layer, that can burn for months, sometimes even over the winter.
That's why they recommend you think twice before burning and take precautions if you do.
We ask people to actually put water on it, mix it around, and then touch it with your hand. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
Especially with no real relief from the drought in sight.
But even if we do get a little bit of rain, we're still going to be in fire season until there's snow on the ground.
And the DNR tells me they're also going to have increased concerns this weekend as deer season kicks off. That, of course, means there's going to be extra campfires and equipment in wooded areas all across Minnesota. So they're asking hunters to take extra precautions if they're out there. Amelia?
All right. Thank you, Alan.
Well, the record-breaking heat didn't help the fire situation at all. Chris is in the Next Weather Center, so it looks like another kind of high-risk fire day tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a bad combination. The brush is so dry because of our drought conditions, and that wind was so strong, gusting at times over 40 miles per hour in parts of the state. And of course, it was a warm one, 76. Our average high is 49. In fact, this was one of our warmest November days on record. It's still very mild out there, 68 degrees at this late hour, and temperatures are going to stay mild, and the wind is going to stay strong, not only overnight tonight, but during the day tomorrow. It won't be quite as strong as it was today, but definitely noticeable. One thing that's going to help the fire conditions, some rain. Our next weather tower will be shining green by this time tomorrow. I'll let you know when the rain arrives and how much we can expect here in the Twin Cities.
Good, that'll help.
Thank you.
Scan the QR code on your screen to download the CBS Minnesota weather app. It has free tools to help you stay on top of our strange November weather. Developing tonight, a shooting victim crashed their car on Interstate 94. This is near the 5th Street exit in St. Paul. The investigation has shut down several lanes of the interstate since around 5:30 this evening. It is back open tonight. Police tell us someone got in their car, and while they were in their car nearby, they were shot, and then they drove on the interstate to try to get away from the person who shot them, and they crashed. That victim is badly hurt and in the hospital tonight. Police say the shooter was in a silver Ford sedan. Tonight, they're still looking for them.
Only on WCCO tonight, dramatic video of a shooting that sent bullets flying into a bus. This was the chaos last night near Lowry and Penn Avenues north of Minneapolis. What looks like 3 masked teenagers opened fire in a parking lot. It all happened feet away from a Minneapolis police officer who was sitting inside his squad car. Just before the gunfire, another camera shows a Metro Transit bus pull up nearby. Investigators say that one of the bullets hit a woman who was sitting on that bus. Last night, we showed you this video of bullet holes in the windows. A bullet also hit a man who was not on the bus. Both victims are expected to survive. Officers have not arrested anyone.
Tonight, there are new details in a family tragedy. North St. Paul police say a man who lives here started stabbing 2 adult family members. Another family member shot that man to get him to try to stop. That man died. Tonight, we'll learn the woman that he stabbed did not make it either. The other stabbing victim is badly hurt. Police are still trying to figure out what triggered the violence. Cops are going to be clamping down around the University of Minnesota the next 2 weekends.
David Schumann shows us how campus police are partnering with Minneapolis officers to try and keep students safe.
The last several weekends provided an unusual amount of activity that we wanted to step up and try to stop it before it got into going on a regular basis.
The unusual activity included multiple fireworks attacks this weekend that hurt at least 4 people, including this female student. So the University of Minnesota is bringing in more police the next 2 weekends. Up to 10 extra officers coming from campus police and MPD getting paid overtime.
It'll start, late afternoon, early evening, and go into the early morning. Part of our view is that more visible police presence will help deter criminal activity.
Jada Sherman lives near where the fireworks attack happened. She feels more police are a good start, but ultimately a drop in the ocean.
It's a temporary solution to a problem that's going to persist, and I don't really feel like there's been any kind of message sent to the people that are doing this that you will be held accountable.
Joe Birch also thinks more accountability is needed, but he does feel safer than he used to.
The emphasis on campus safety happened after last year, more so, and so it's occurring right now, so I feel like more stuff is going to be done.
I asked MPD, if officers are going to be a part of this campus safety effort, what does that mean for the rest of the city these next 2 weekends? A spokesperson told me no officers will be pulled off their regular shifts. Up to 6 a day will volunteer to take the overtime and patrol these neighborhoods. In Minneapolis, David Schumann, WCCO 4 News.
We checked tonight and still no arrests have been made in the weekend fireworks attacks.
We've reported for months about the surge in catalytic converter thefts. Tonight, a new indictment sheds light on the big business behind the common crime. The Justice Department says lower-level thieves, including here in Minnesota, sold the converters to subsidiaries and then shipped them to New Jersey, where they were broken down. The DOJ says law enforcement executed a coordinated takedown of the ringleaders across 9 states. This is one of those raids in Oklahoma. In total, 21 people are now under arrest. Prosecutors say they made a whopping $545 million.
The Vikings quarterback is sharing his condolences following the sudden passing of former assistant coach Adam Zimmer.
Adam was a tremendous person, tremendous football coach. Everybody here loved working with him, spoke so highly of him. So it's just tragic. It's tough to deal with, and just praying for the family and thinking of them.
Zimmer is the son of former head coach Mike Zimmer. ESPN reports that he was found dead in his Mendota Heights home on Monday. Police don't suspect foul play. Adam Zimmer was just 38 years old.
Hundreds of nurses flooded downtown Minneapolis today to confront corporate healthcare executives. The nurses union says it's still fighting for fair contracts more than a month since 15,000 Minnesota nurses went on a 3-day strike. They say they're dealing with short staffing and poor working conditions. The strike back in September was the largest in state history.
Health experts say that this flu season could be a bad one because it is starting early and at the same time as RSV. RSV started infecting kids rapidly at the beginning of October. Flu season typically starts in January and February, but cases are already starting to pop up. Children's Minnesota says that one of the main reasons is our relaxed COVID protocols. Without masking and distancing, viruses spread faster. Experts say that kids and adults should get vaccinated.
Now is the time, because it will take about 2 weeks for that flu shot to be effective in helping with that immunity that we all need.
Kids older than 6 months can get the shot. If it's their first time, they need 2 doses 1 month apart. What happens below your home can deliver a big blow to your bank account.
Some Minnesotans saw it firsthand when a break in a main line left them underwater. You can help protect your plumbing and avoid a big bill.
It took us about 3 to 4 years to construct the temple.
It's one of the largest Hindu temples in the United States.
Each of these temples is representing the originals from that region of India.
As we go finding Minnesota next.